this is the 150th anniversary of the actual battle. This is the actual battlefield.
Actual battlefield.
How rare is that?
Very rare, very rare. You know, the National Park Service doesn't allow reenactors. For example, you can't do a reenactment anymore on the actual. You could never do a Pickett's charge because of federal rules. But this is, I think most reenactors will find this a moving experience. We plan to read some of the first-person accounts tomorrow at our morning parade, and I think they'll find that very, very moving. A very moving experience to know that men actually were wounded and died where they're sleeping, and while they'll be reenacting the battle tomorrow, that could be very significant.
Well, John Edward Frampton, who actually was the builder of this particular house, he was the landowner at the time and a senator in the 1840s for South Carolina. But in 1860, he was actually one of the signers of the Ordinance of Secession that took South Carolina out of the United States. So he was a very big principal player to the secession.
This piece of artillery is a 10-pound Parrott. It's owned by the Chester Historical Society, and it was dug up in Chester, South Carolina, downtown in 1986 after being underground for over 130 years.
And was it alone?
It had 3 brothers with it, so it's 4 of them. The whole battery was buried there.
Okay, this thing's been fired today?
Yes, sir. I fired it 9 times already today.
And who's associated with this piece of equipment and all that goes with it?
The Macintosh battery is the name of my battery, and so we have a whole crew here today that we were shooting.
My role in the reenacting world is Colonel of Palmetto Battalion. And Palmetto Battalion has been a reenacting organization in the state of South Carolina for the past 28 years. We were approached some time ago by a local Sons of Confederate Veterans camp about hosting an anniversary event for the Battle of Pocotaligo, and that's how we got involved. There's only so much you can do in planning a reenacting battle because you have a limited space and you have a limited amount of time. So the best you can do is a brief snapshot of what happened, give people an idea. We do our best to try to recreate actual events, but sometimes the space just doesn't allow.
Well, for instance, this battle was fought through thick underbrush and swamp. You can't really do that.
Exactly.
And
you can't get spectators in. I mean, you have to keep the spectators in mind too. The spectators want to see, and they're paying public to see something, and so you have to clear out a space for them. Plus, you know, for a lot of times, what happens with a battle is everything depends on numbers, and reenactors, it's all volunteer. Nobody's paying reenactors to be out here, and they have families and work schedules and illnesses just like everybody else, and so you never really know who's going to show up as an event coordinator. You just kind of advertise it, build it, and hope they will come.
What? Who?
Shoulder.
At the time, this was a very important battle for South Carolina and for the Confederacy. It kind of got overshadowed by the larger bloodlettings in Antietam and Gettysburg in later years. But this was an attempt by the Federals to cut the Savannah-Charleston Railway and to isolate the 2 cities of Savannah and Charleston. And had they been successful in this time frame of 1862, it would have shortened the war by a good 2 years, probably. The Federals used gunboats to land their troops at Mackey's Point and moved inland with 4,400 infantrymen. And Colonel Walker was the Confederate colonel here. He had a limited number of men in his command, and he quickly, when he found out that the Federals were on their way, he telegraphed Beauregard to send reinforcements.
Well, I have a major's uniform on today, and because I'm a major in the Palmetto Battalion, I'm the artillery commander for the whole state of South Carolina in the Palmetto Battalion.
I'm a federal private.
Okay. And is that usually what you do?
As always. Well, we obviously switch sides depending on the event, but I'm always a private.
You switch sides, but not switch sides.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
How does that work? Tell me, for people who don't understand how that works. You guys sometimes come with 2 sets of.
It really depends on the event and the turnout, and we're close to home, so we've been told to be federal. When we travel to places, such as Maryland or whatever, we're Confederate. So we always be prepared to make the battle as historically accurate as possible as far as numbers.
For those of us who don't know a lot about artillery, tell me what it takes to to fire that thing?
It takes at least 6 people, and each one of them has a special job. We have a guy that cleans the bore out. We got a guy that wet sponges it and also rams a charge in. And on the other end of the gun, we have the pricker, the guy that pricks the charge for us. You shoot a tinfoil, half a pound of black powder in tinfoil, 8 layers of tinfoil, and then we have another person that puts a primer in, and we pull the primer.
So this gun's been pretty well traveled this sesquicentennial year.
Yes, sir. 145th also, but sesquicentennial, we've been as far away as Shiloh, Tennessee with it, shooting out there at Mudlow. And muddy, I got stuck 7 times, and got stuck once here yesterday. Soft dirt y'all got around here.
How long have you been doing this?
About 2 years, a year and a half, 2 years.
And what do you get out of it?
I really enjoy history, so and more than that, I enjoy the camaraderie. Like, we sit around the fire at night and talk bad about each other and stuff. So we're all a big group of friends, and the history of part of it is what I guess attracts most of us to it. But also, the camaraderie we build being part of this.
You're taking part in a battle, the 150th anniversary of a battle on the actual site where the battle took place. How does that feel?
That's unique because we don't normally get to be on the actual lands. We were walking last night through the earthworks after dark, and it was really neat to feel like we were actually on the site that the battle took place. So it's a unique opportunity, and it's an honor to do it. So I mean, we don't normally get to do that, so that's a neat thing to do. And
so something that's going to stick with you for a while?
Oh, certainly.
The emotion that maybe goes along with the 150th anniversary of the actual battle on the actual battlefield.
See, that gives you cold chills. Think about that. Now, I did not have any forefathers I know of that were here at this battle, but anytime we can walk on hollowed ground, it's an honor for us. Because if we go to Gettysburg or we go somewhere else, Chickamauga, Shiloh, they won't let us play. Park Service does not let us play on the ground. We have to play close to it, at some farm or something. So this is one of the few places we go. Resaca, Georgia is another one, and the Battle of Atlanta is another one, actually on the main battlefield that actually our forefathers stood on. Other than that, we very seldom get to play on a real battlefield.
So this is incredibly unique.
It is, sure is.
A little known fact of the war is that Robert E. Lee, before he became famous General Robert E. Lee, was sent down here by Jefferson Davis to supervise the coastal defenses of South Carolina. And some of those original works that he helped design are on the Frampton Plantation property that you can see here now. And his goal was to build a series of works that would cause the Federals to funnel their men to a narrow front. So the Federals never were able to deploy a full battle line of 4,000 men. They could only deploy a few hundred at a time, which allowed the Confederates to destroy the army in pieces, piecemeal.
My dress, it's a period piece, and it's actually authentic pattern from the 1860s. It's made, I make it myself. All my outfits I make, and you'll find a majority of the ladies do as well.
Right here.
But I do make them all. And tomorrow I'll be in a different outfit, and there'll be a ball, and there'll be ball gowns as well. So you'll see a lot. But the outfit itself is usually what they classify as a tee, jacket, and skirt.
We have civilians. We have a large civilian contingent, which includes the Ladies Auxiliary, the Palmetto Auxiliary, Ladies Auxiliary that we have. Also, we have some reenactors who are just too old to take the field anymore, and so they'll come as civilians and take part. And we try to find a spot for everybody.
And of course, Sutlers.
Sutlers are always a very important part of an event. They provide food, and anything 19th century that you will want to buy, you can find on Sutler Road.
For instance?
Oh, goodness. You can buy a complete colonel's outfit, for example. You can find infantry uniform for both Union and Confederate. You can buy a Western Theater Confederate uniform or an Eastern Theater Confederate uniform. You can buy utensils, fire grates. Ladies can buy hoop skirts. If they want to look like Scarlett O'Hara, they can find a green dress and make that happen.
I taught myself sewing. So my daughter started this back in high school, and she started buying stuff. Yeah, no. Let's go see if we can't make it better. And we want to know where she got her dress. And she said, my mama. And I go, okay. So I made her one, and then I made the next one, and then it just kind of, it picked me. I didn't pick it, it picked me. These are not costumes.
Right.
These are clothes, and they should last, and they shouldn't fall apart the first, second time you wear them. I'm done up north in October, November, and then usually I take December off, and then this came available, and we just going to Florida a month early.
Tell me a little bit about the circuit. I mean, when does it start?
Obviously, it's seasonal. You know, the high season for Florida is in the winter months. So we'll go Brookville, Alusty in January, February, and then we'll come back up to South Carolina and do Aiken and Broxton Bridge in March. And then I go home and I start West Virginia, Kentucky, Virginia, Ohio, and Indiana. I'll do up in there.
What is this? You had school kids out here today. This is sort of an we talked to a couple of guys yesterday who said this is kind of an interactive history lesson. How important is that to continue?
I think it's very important to continue, and we've been concerned about whether or not that history would continue. Most of the men and women who were involved, I call her the Daniel Boone generation. You know, we grew up with Daniel Boone on television and John Wayne and that kind of, I think, David Crockett, that influenced our love of history, I think. And, you know, we're aging out as a hobby, and a lot of younger folks are turning to World War II reenacting as a way of expressing history. So there's some concern that this kind of living history of the Civil War is going to die out at some point when our generation passes on.
What's the best part of this kind of thing?
Oh, it's the traveling and the people. You know, it's all about you meet new people every day. When I have my little machine, I've met patent experts and machinists and how to take care of it, and just all walks of life. So it's interesting. I get to travel.
It's all about the history. Yeah.
And I love history. Obviously, you couldn't do it if you didn't. But it's people. It's traveling.
Thanks very much.
You're welcome. Enjoy your day.